Hey guys, I'm Daniel Markham. I'm the guy who invented the domain model for domain modeling. Over the last week or two, about 4 times people have come to me with the same questions on various forums and in person, which is, you can't really do something that simple, can you? And each time I explained that you could. So I just thought I'd do a demo of kind of how simple things can be. In software, one of the things you never want to say is it works on my machine, because they will punch you right in the nose, because that's just sort of a junior level thing to do. Another thing you never want to say is, how hard could it be anyway? Because it can be pretty freaking hard. The thing that we always ask ourselves without realizing was, how difficult can we make this? And so what I see over and over again is really, really smart people just making things a lot more complicated than it has to be. So with me? Okay, let's do a quick tour. Make sure I still got the camera on. Do I have the camera on? Yes, I do. All right, so I started this project off. I haven't looked at this code in 5 months. So we're both coming in cold on this. Somebody asked, how simple could you make a static blogging system? I'm like, I don't know. I think I'll use Vue because I've never used that before. And I think I'll have JSON for the data files. And I'll just have Vue load in the JSON files and display it in various templates. So really, I initially just wanted sort of an index page with a Vue component that loaded in a JSON file and displayed that inside the component. That was very simple. And then I went from there to a library for loading in the JSON file because I had more things I wanted to put in there. That was also very simple. So I think instead of me sort of bragging, I don't know, humble bragging about how simple things can be, I think the real question is here, what process do you go through in developing a solution? You always want to go through the simplest thing possible and then add on from there. Okay, enough bloviating. So this has like a sort of a five file system. Here I have one.html. It's just a template. And so I thought I'd give you an example of kind of what happens with these template files. So maybe you want like one file to do, I don't know, author entries and one file to do blogs for holidays, whatever you want. So you make an HTML file. In the head here, I just load in a main style sheet, and then I load in a main.js and an air.js, and then that's really kind of done from there. Now there's a header, blah, blah, blah. These are just IDs. Every page has a header and a main container and a footer. At the bottom, I load in my Airblog engine, and then and here, this is sort of, Vue. Here's a Vue component. This may look more complicated for you new guys. I did not use the CLI or Webpack Init stuff. It's only complicated because it's grown. I mean, over the week or two that I coded this, it got a bit complicated, but I'm done with it. It works for me several times a week. I don't ever go back to it, so I don't really worry about it. Here, there's a Vue object. It's got some filters on it, and basically it just kind of pulls off sort of a main Vue object, template link, Vue methods. Pretty much I mounted. Yeah, here the mounted. I actually set some meta entries for this page. I also want to set the head and the title and the footer and all that stuff. So yeah, this was sort of to demonstrate that you could put pretty much anything of use that you wanted in a blog entry in a JSON database. I think I'm using Airtable here, and it's only, I don't know, maybe 5 to 7 fields. You really don't want a lot blogging. You may want to do some different templates or fancy widgets or whatever, but the data itself that you enter when you make a new blog entry, 5, 7 fields, it's not very much at all. Take a look at main.js. Does nothing, because I didn't really find anything I wanted to do that didn't fit into the engine. Main CSS, there's just a bunch of CSS stuff. You'll note that I'm using mostly classes. And when you do your page, you grow up your CSS however you like that. I didn't need to do a lot. There's 500 lines of CSS. Right. Yeah, I think the total amount of JavaScript here is going to be about 500 to 700 lines, depending on how you count it. CSS maybe at 500 here. I don't know. Not a lot. If you don't want a lot, don't put a lot. What else? Okay, so then we go from that to AirDat. AirDat is the engine that loads in the JSON file, right? It kind of gets things started. And so once you get this AB object set up, I do an old school JavaScript object. Woohoo, rock on, 80s. And then I've got a markdown library I call, and it does the markdown to HTML conversion. There's the Airtable function, gets all the Airtable stuff. Basically, I just have a sort of a cron job that just gets stuff out of my Airtable database, dumps a JSON file on the website every so often, and then this just loads in the JSON off a file from the web server. It loads it in. There's a couple data-ish type things I do. There's the link to find the data, get the ID. I have a selected entry. Yeah, that. Helper functions that are related to the data schema of blogging. Also not important for growing a Vue component. Okay, so we get to the blogging, kind of the big blogging engine here. This is the data layer for it does everything but data retrieve, select, filter. I'm not sure, maybe Airdata I'm not using anymore. This might be it. I don't know. Bunch of variables, bunch of helper. This is the database schema stuff. The thing I was just talking about in Airdata. Actually, I don't use that anymore. Just kidding. No, yeah, actually, this is it right here. Yeah, this is even fewer lines of code. What's my header? What relay items do I have? I think there's an error, something. Components, maybe? Yeah. Okay, so then we get to the components question. This is the big kahuna. People, I think the question that I'm here for today is, why don't you just go to like a Vue CLI and a one component per file? Well, I didn't need it. If I needed it, I would go to it. I know it's there, but I'm just trying to figure out how dang complicated do I need to make this? And the answer is, I don't want it to be very complicated. Like I said, haven't come back to this in 5 months. If I go another year, don't come back to it, I'm a happy guy. Error block base, so I just extend the Vue object. I have to do, what happens if there's a broken link? Well, that's an interesting problem to fix. Converting blog stuff into HTML stuff. These are just methods I hung off the base Vue object. This will be the base class. I use an inheritance model, so I do the kind of honk up the Vue root object, and then whatever I inherit off of that has access to all these functions, which, if you're an OO guy, kind of makes sense. It's just a common library. So it's a bunch of different common stuff I want to do, like, tell me the template file, give me the description, take an author ID, give me the author name based on, this is all domain related questions. This is the meta stuff I showed you from the file that's not the right one. And so then we have, then I just start doing some templates, right? So I've got a related items bar, which you can see here. I've got to mix in the airblogs base. Airblogs base, I have that. I think that's the extension I just did, right? Correct. There. Yep, so there's the related items bar, and there's another template entry detail header. Here we got a bunch of components, boom, boom, one after another. And as you can see, I don't add any methods, filters, or any other stuff, mounted in this stuff, because I actually did this way on purpose, because every time I put several components, I did start with one component, and each time I added stuff in I needed to factor out, I moved it to the base class. So having it all in one file like this actually was kind of most awesome. If I had split this up over the 10 components I'm looking at, I probably wouldn't have refactored as much. Entry detail header, entry list component, hunka like templated stuff, no or very little functions at all. This one actually has a couple functions. Entry list plain component, no mix-ins, and I would probably keep going, maybe another 5 or 10 components. This is the whole code here. You could just go from here, make a components2.js, and inherit off the Vue base, the master base thing, airblock base, and keep on chucking along. You'd be fine. And that was my idea, that I could add components for MailChimp or whatever later I wanted. Never needed to add it later, so never did. tag detail, and I just kept adding various components. I would start factoring out the HTML in that sort of normal blog entry. It has a header, has a footer, has a detail. And I reached a point where I thought I kind of factored as much dang stuff as I really needed to. So then I actually had two different ways of listing articles. I tried to make it difficult. I tried to add in a little extra difficulty. So here I have a mounted function, right? More template, and then I just export all these components, which are 15 components. Anybody who wants it can just pick up this file and use it and make their own components. This is 700 lines, but if you take all the HTML template junk out, I bet you it's maybe 400 lines, 300 lines. And that's it. That's a blogging system that's dynamic. You can add components. You can add your own page templates. You can enter data all you want without having to recompile. You can add, it takes markdown. You can put images in. It does everything I really want to do in a blog engine. If I really wanted to make it super, super complicated, maybe I would write some kind of batch scripts that would actually make each entry as a separate page, just for SEO purposes. But I didn't need it, so I didn't write it. Hope that helps. I'm sorry if we had to go through it kind of quickly and I stumbled some, but I thought it was important for you to see kind of how I would look at it after not seeing it for 5 months. So I kind of walked through it, realized that the blog base was my root, figured out kind of flow of stuff off of one of my pages, and then I just kind of add to that, or not. Daniel Markham wrote the domain model for domain models. Happy to help you. Please ask some questions if you have any. I don't have anything to say today. Hope it helps some. Bye.